stuck in.
But when there's
Hello, hello, hello. We are live at a very discreet hidden location. No one can know where I am. Tonight we're going to have a bittersweet moment as we say goodbye to comic book advocates and by default, indie advocates. We're going to have the conversation. We're going to talk about it. Oops. We had a screen issue for a second. I forget on here if I can actually change this. Cancel that. There we go. I forgot if we have screen share on this. I think we do. We should. Hold on one second. Right, give me a second so I can call it up. As I wanted to talk to you about what's going on. All right, there we go. I wanted to do this and not waste any time getting it to you. There we go. Don't worry, I'm still here. I'm still here, just setting up a bunch of things for you guys, including the screen share, which I wanted to, I don't get why it's not showing me the screen I want. Oh, so frustrating. All right, let's try this. I think it's not letting me because it's not in the same browser, which is weird, but I think it just had too many browsers open, which is, for me, normal, honestly. All right, let me cancel this for a second. So I can go here, grab this, close this, and put that here. And with any luck, this is now fixed. Screen shares are a pain in the butt, what can I say? All right, there we go. Finally got it. All right. Oh, we're going to invite in different audiences as well. We're going to invite in our we're going to invite in I think we'll do it in the room. Bear with me one second. One second. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask them right now. Just give me 1 second. Get this together. I'm sorry, I had been running late due to traffic, so I didn't get the usual setup I do. But we're almost there. No worries. All right, so there it is.
For me or for the store? For me? Sorry.
All right. We're going to go live now and introduce the Facebook audience and our comic book advocates group.
So,
And then one final place we're going to want to go live right now. We're going to go to
yeah, we should explain the customer.
our
You change the menu.
YouTube. I'm sorry. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. Welcome. And now we're going to go on TikTok.
Different kinds of sandwiches. Mobile.
Again, sorry for running late. Traffic was bad.
And new things, new items.
How do you feel like you're
How much how can my
Almost there. I'm sorry I'm boring you guys. I promise we'll get better.
what are you enjoying most about the work?
All right. Hello, everybody. We are live in 3 different places at once. We're on YouTube. Show it all up. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere you want to be. So we're going to be talking about a post today. 6 minutes in on our YouTube. Luckily, that can run a little longer. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll answer them accordingly. Today is going to be the last issue of Comic Book Advocates, and I'm going to explain what that means. The effects that doing this all has had on my life. I want to thank you all for joining me for this program, whether it be live or canned later. We are ready to go. We are up and running now. It looks like everything is good, so let's get started. Comic Book Advocates, the journey that I've been on with that started, 10 years ago. It started out of comic book school, and it became a thing for creators to hang out together. We had different names, and there's a whole history, and we're not going to go over that because I don't want to focus on that. But it has been, honestly, my honor to advocate for so many creators. It has been a joy of my life in many ways. It has this ambitious thing I've done, what I've gone through, the people I've helped, it's been overwhelming. Just to take you an idea of how this all began, I started this before I got crippled, before I was injured at work. This has taken me from being someone who's training to be a wrestler to someone who was crippled, to someone who became a father, to someone who went through a divorce, who went through a diagnosis of his son having autism, to him dedicating himself to advocating for comics, and has taken journeys with the pandemic, have seen amazing people enter my life, I've seen betray me. This has been an adventure of a lifetime, and I will forever be grateful to everyone, from finding love to having my heart broken to divorce. It has been a journey. And then just about 2 years ago, I kind of stepped back a little bit. I was dealing with some mental and physical health issues, and I needed a break, and I needed to step back. So I did. I stepped back. I had conversations with some people, and I decided at that point I would see how I felt in 2 years. That was the thing. I was going to give myself 2 years and then come back to the question of what I see my future. And I did get healthier. I wound up losing a significant amount of weight. I have walked hundreds of miles. I have given up eating meat. I am a vegetarian for a year now, believe it or not. I gave up soda, and anyone who's known me or traveled with me knows how much I used to drink when it came to soda. Now I drink tea and coffee, and that's something a lot of people wouldn't believe who've been on the road with me. And it has been the honor of a lifetime to actually advocate for many creators who I, to this day, can call my friends and call on the phone anytime I want. I have seen good and bad in this time. But most recently, I found out that I'm going to have to be moving, and this wasn't even a choice of mine. After hurricane damage screwed up the apartment I'm living in, the owner, or the house, I'm calling an apartment a house, the house I'm living in, it has become painfully clear that they didn't want to repair it for the last year I've been living there, last 2 years almost now. And there were things like mold coming out of places. There were things like a broken fence. Like it's ridiculous. So we're going to suddenly now have to move because the owner's deciding to sell it. Such is life. And I recently, if you look on the TikTok channel, I've been going through my comic book collection. We're talking thousands of comics. I have touched every comic I own in the last 4 days, at least once. I haven't touched all the comics I've created, but I've actually touched all the comics I have created, at least one copy of each too. And it has been an amazing and wild fucking ride, people. But then I suddenly realized something. Well, advocating for comics is going to be something that's lifelong and it will never go away. I'm never going to stop advocating for the importance of comics. I'm always going to be involved in comics for as long as I live. I am at a point now. When I first moved down here, the first iteration of what became Comic Book Advocates was launched 7 years ago. 7 years ago. And when I launched it, I moved into the place I'm living. And this sudden upheaval, just this weekend, made me realize I was coming up with my 2-year thing to sit down and think about it. And it was time to decide what the future held for me and Comic Book Advocates. And the honest truth is, for the last year, I've tried to start shows. I've tried to have my interest in it. And a lot of times, the simple answer is I'm just spent. I did that. I did it well. I changed the industry in a lot of ways. There's the outlook of what I'm seeing, where indie comics is over. The age of indie comics is officially over. Now, we can talk about more what I mean with that in a minute, so don't go far. But yeah, indie comics right now, that age has come and gone officially. And we're looking at social media in an entirely different way than when I first started 7 years ago. So with this move, I'm throwing out some things and I'm getting rid of some things and I'm selling some things. And it made me realize that I'd outgrown a lot of things. And I haven't outgrown helping people. That's something I'm never going to do. I have outgrown not helping myself. There is a lot of problems that came up because I didn't prioritize my needs, my family's needs and my financial needs. And I was generous to a dangerous point with my time, my energy, and money. And I'll answer anyone's question. Don't worry, you can ask anything you want, no matter how hard you think the question is. I'm happy to answer. But the honest truth is, I have to start putting the needs of my future ahead of everyone else's for the first time in years. And I'm doing this not as a punishment, but it's the airplane thing. When an airplane's starting to crash, they tell you to put your air mask on first. There's a reason for this. That reason is the fact you can't help anyone else when you're hurt. My back got really bad after 2020. Crippling bad. I actually started using a wheelchair, and I thought I was heading to using it a lot more. Health-wise, I wasn't feeling good. I was in a really bad place. Physically wasn't good. 2020 took a lot out of me. And I'm very proud of the work I did specifically in 2020. So many people had said I took the fear out of it for them, but it came at a giant physical cost to me that honestly probably has forever changed my health for a negative way. There was a lot of me coughing up blood because I was talking too much, showing up not feeling well, expending myself. A lot of bad stuff that we're going to focus on tonight happened specifically around 2020. So now we're here, moving, and I look at it and I go, I haven't really done it in a year. I've watched, especially in the last year, what's happened. A year ago, I stopped doing back repose. And I look at it and it's just a different, it is completely different than it once was. This isn't the same industry anymore. Things are rapidly changed. And I will always be creating comics the rest of my life, reading them and enjoying them. I just went through comics and I can't tell you the journey I went on, oh, the beautiful journey of the childhood memories and all that. There's nothing but love for comic books in my heart. I had used them to educate my son and made Cat Dad and Supermom. I'm very proud of everything that I've done in creating comics. I'm proud of how many people I have selflessly helped and avoided being a selfish creator cashed on it. I also have trouble with the morality of a lot of people in the comics now. You can't unsee what you don't see. I saw a lot of people continue to support a creator who is taking advantage of women, another creator who is taking advantage of consumers and other creators. And I think what really brought me to this moment was when I was going through my comics, deciding what I'd keep. I saw so many books, indie books that never had an issue number 2. Creators are gone now. I put a lot of energy and effort into helping them, and they disappeared. And I don't hold anything against anyone. I just realized the simple truth. I had invested in someone who disappeared. I invested in not one, but hundreds of creators. When I tried to look for them, are no longer creating, and a lot of them don't even have their websites anymore. And I get that. It became too hard. Comics will break your fucking heart. I'm not mad at anyone. I'm mad at myself. Because instead of investing in myself, I now have, not exaggerating, probably around 300 comic books from indie creators that aren't very good. They're not edited well, they're not contained well. And I helped them and I supported them, and they took the money and ran from the Kickstarters, whatever they made. And I've seen a different industry that, at least when it comes to the indie side of it, I'm not proud of anymore. And I don't feel like being a cheerleader. So I don't want to be bitter anymore. So I don't want to pay attention to it. I don't want to be mad anymore. I want to enjoy my fandom. So it is time for me to step away from advocating for comics the way I once did, running a website and all that. I did my part. I changed this part of the industry. I educated and actually have inspired a new generation. I hit a lot of my goals. And I will continue at this point to advocate in my own way via TikTok, sharing other people's videos, talking about them. I might even do reviews for people who ask me. I just don't want the pressure of it feeling like it's something I have to do. At some point, people started treating me as if it were my job that I was doing to support them and to educate and to do all these things as if I was getting paid. And I think that was the moment where it stopped being something that I enjoyed. And then people tried to want to be a comic book advocate, which was a term that was given to me because I put other people ahead of myself. It wasn't very hard. So I'll read you the official rundown of what I posted today. You can see this now. Just go to Creators of Written Sins. You can still, the site is still going to be up for at least the foreseeable future, but it is going to go through a rebranding change, and old will become new again. And that'll be happening over the next few weeks. And it was truly an honor, and it still is. I've met such amazing people. I just wanted to share some of the things I want to share to the creators right now, as I'm bowing out of running Comic Book Advocates and retiring it. I wanted to just give a few points that I think are important for you all to know. Let's see. Focus on yourself and your own needs and your family and your creative team before you help anyone else. There are a lot of predatory behaviors in comic books. Whether we like it or not, it's just the truth. There are a lot of people who will take advantage. Make sure you're protecting yourself. I went out of my way and I put myself in harm's way sometimes to help other people. But what I mean by harm's way was reputation, and that has come back to harm me, or my time. My time is so valuable, and I wasted it on the wrong people sometimes, but I gave it to some of the most amazing people. Some people have even told me that their success wouldn't be where it was without me today, and I can't tell you how grateful I am to have such comments thrown my way. But it is time now for all of us to realize that we need to help ourselves first before we can help anyone else. And I have no intention of suddenly disappearing. I continue to create to this day and will continue to create. For when it comes to Kickstarters, here's something, and I know it's going to piss some people off, but stop trying to buy books on Kickstarter for new creators necessarily, unless you're very much a fan and want their work. There are people who, I'll tell you right now, I have in a keep box and I can name, and it's funny because the names that I would keep for watching this video, I didn't even plan this. Like, Edward Davis makes an amazing comic book series, and he got well beyond issue 1. It's been an honor to see George Alves move on and continue to create some amazing stuff. Matt Shore, and I always get your name wrong, and I'm sorry. Matt does such amazing videos for his projects. They always make me giggle. Ed Davis and George and Matt, if you guys have links, please drop them for your work. If you're still watching, let other people see who they are. And if any of you guys are on still watching, I can bring you on the video apparently now, as it tells me I can. So we can talk a little bit maybe about what Comic Book Advocates mean to you. TikTok has become a better stream too for social media. I don't necessarily, this is the next thing, I don't necessarily know that we need websites anymore. Trying to drive traffic off of things is now harder than ever before. People like the town square, and I think that's where we're heading. So with that in mind, and with love, I say don't have a website for foreseeable future. There's just too much traffic on the internet. Simplify it. Build a place that's very strong. We're streaming from Comic Book Advocates. While Comic Book Advocates, the site, is no longer going to be a thing. Its legacy will continue, believe it or not, as a Facebook group. It will simply have a name change from comicbookadvocates.com to Comic Book Advocates, and that will continue. That will be the legacy of that as it branches off to a Facebook group. Facebook itself, of course, is dying, but is still alive and holding on, and still, I believe, I'd have to look. I think it's number 2 now, possibly, if you count all the users on TikTok, which is international. If not number 2, they're coming up. But also, there's talk about banning TikTok. So, grain of salt. There'll always be some social media. Find a place to put your stuff. I suggest YouTube. YouTube's not going anywhere when it comes to videos. When it comes to online content, if you want to write things and journal things, then yeah, make a website if you want to do something like that. I will be continuing to keep what is Creators of Written Sins, and it's always had that URL still up with the 50,000 subscribers. And in all honesty, being brutal, 50,000 people don't show up to watch it. So we probably have 1,000 consumers who read our stuff and all. And that's something that I guess you should expect when you've been doing it for 7 years. But the 7-year, I think that's a good amount of time to have helped others. And I'm really excited for all we have accomplished. Remember to be a pair, be professional, be ethical, be authentic, and be respectful. And I can't stress this enough. Be a stand-up person for what's right, even if it will cost you. It matters more to do what's right in your life than to ever do what's popular. I've never made booby covers. I've never cashed in on my characters to sell comic books. I believe ethics matters, so does morality. And I know everyone's morality and ethics can be slightly different. And I will always talk about this, the ethics of how you act are what you are remembered for. And when people try to besmirch who you are, trust me, people will come. I will never forget the people who came and stood with me during some of the worst parts of my life, and I will always respect and love them for that. They will always matter more to me than they'll ever possibly know. No matter how much you trust the person, read contracts that you're going to sign and have another person look over them. As creators, we have to be more diligent about this, especially if it's from a publisher. Kamal Hennessy read it over at www.creativecontractconsulting.com and make sure that you're not getting screwed over. We've seen that a lot. Supporting even publishers became toxic in the last couple of years, as many of them didn't do the right things by their creators and instead took silly chances, invested in NFTs and other trends, and wound up not paying anyone. I could name a dozen. It's not uncommon. So there's no reason to point anyone out or call anyone out at this point. Speaking of calling people out, I think you should. I think that you need to hold people accountable, absolutely. I think you shouldn't try to cancel anyone. Never try to cancel anyone. Canceling someone is awful. Don't cancel a human being. Instead of canceling them, hold them accountable. Tell them what they did and tell them why it was wrong. Have that bigger conversation. We're not having enough of those. We're having yelling matches. When you did something wrong, there's this thing. It's called an apology. Very simple to give. Costs you nothing. But a little bit of ego and a little bit of humility. And it's so powerful and so wonderful when you can admit that you're the one who's wrong. I've apologized on many occasions before anyone goes, well, what about you? I am ferocious hater sometimes. But I listen, I learn, and I grow. We should all listen, learn, and grow from each other. All right. Let's see what else I got for you. And then I'll open it up to any questions you have. Help people. The Doomsday Glacier is apparently not in good shape. Just came over from CNN. Might be quitting at the right times. And we're not quitting. We're just ending. I've always felt that this was, and I've said this from the very beginning when I did this would have an end date. There'd be other people who would do it, hopefully better than me. And sadly, that never really came to be. No one ever did the things. They've taken a lot from what I've done, which is awesome. Truly awesome, actually. No one really gave credit, of course, but it's nice to see the things I did were spread and used over and over again. And I'll take that as the compliment that needs to happen. But it is one of those things that I've made the changes I wanted to make, and now it's time for me to focus on me, my career, my family, and help out from a distance. And even the cost of running websites is one of the reasons I tell people not to. Can be very expensive. So there could very well be a day where I decide to no longer even keep the archive of what was Comic Book Advocates. I like it for now. I can afford it for now, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be about me and my family and the best decisions for me and my family, especially with con prices and the mental price, the physical price I pay for shows. I will be traveling less. Doesn't mean I won't travel necessarily. Doesn't mean that I won't see you on the road. I'm always looking for a way for it to become a yes. But in the end of the day, I have to make sure that I am taking care of me first and foremost, so I never wind up back in that wheelchair because I'm not paying enough attention to my health. Never give up. Create what you want to create. That's it. Create it. Get it out of your system. You don't have to do 12 issues. Make a first issue and see what other people think about it. Listen to feedback. Grow from feedback. Be yourself, but just be the professional social media version. During this journey, I've grown so much. I feel like the 7 years has aged me in all the good ways. It's matured me. It really has humbled me. It has made me a better human being. I think it made me a great father, because I used to be able to really focus on this and focus on my son, who now speaks. And that's a huge step forward for an autistic kid who was nonverbal for a very long time. And this was a system that I loved coming to. And it really did inspire my life in all the right ways. And that's why it was so hard. That's why it took 2 years for me to realize I just don't have it in me to do this the same way anymore. And if I'm not going to give it 100%, I don't want to fake it. It's time for me to focus on my health, my family, people I love in my life, the people who have become family to me, and just create and not deal with the drama. I'll always be here to help people. I'll always be able to talk to people, but I I don't need the pressure of this, and I don't want to half-ass it. And that's been the hardest thing for the last 2 years, is knowing that I didn't have the energy to really put in what I should be putting in. And that's what made me always like, I don't want to do it if I don't have the right sense. By going backwards in some ways in my life, being able to focus on what I'm doing, I can have just me. Like, I'm going to be the product from now on. I'm going to be the thing I talk about. I'm going to be the person who works as hard as he can to promote as much as he can to share it with all of you. And just my final thing, and then I'll take any questions if anyone has it, is when you really want to support a creator, talk about them, please. Please talk about them. Put the message out there. Tell other people about it. Let people understand and learn. I do have plans for the future for what I'll be doing, and that'll all probably be coming out slowly over the next month. The reason it's slowly is because, remember, I'm going to be moving. So I don't even know where I'm going to be living. It's an exciting, scary moment for me. But it was the moment to say goodbye to Comic Book Advocates. Because when I move, I'm not taking that with me. I'm proud of my history. I'm proud of everything it did. I'm proud of everyone it helped. But it's time for someone else to pick up. I've been doing it for over a decade. I ran what is Comic Book Advocates for 7 years, helping people as often as I can. It is just time to help myself. Because I'll tell you this, in those 7 years, there weren't a lot of people helping me. I can tell you about 15 of them. And I never did this to get help from other people, but the one person I wasn't helping was myself. And I appreciate it. We will have, you can now follow us on social media for different things. Our YouTube channel has been rebranded. Look for the word Verbal Sins to take you to the new experiences. If people want me to do educational videos about comics, I will. I still plan to do a TED Talk about comic books. And I'm always here if any creator wants to reach out and talk to me about something. I'm going to focus more on the individuals. On TikTok, I'll talk about the things that blow me away and, wow, this is really good. You guys have to watch this. I'm going to be an advocate as Mr. Anderson for the first time. Not what other people think I should be, not what people think I expect, and it's going to be honest, and sometimes it might even feel brutal. So that's it. I will restart the TikTok, and I'll leave the Facebook and the YouTube running. So TikTok, I appreciate you, and I'll be right back on if you're watching right now, as we talk about the industry and the future of it. So if you guys have any questions right now, please shoot them up. Let me know what the questions are, and I'll be happy to answer them. See, now the one thing I like about TikTok is that in the same time, I'm guessing the Facebook's gotten 10 people, and Facebook's fallen off. Facebook does not have the draw it once did. Get rid of that. Facebook no longer has the draw it once did for lives and all that. I used to get thousands of views on a video, and now it's maybe 100. So TikTok is much better for the videos and all that. And of course, YouTube's always going to be the go. So I'm going to quickly talk about the industry. And we'll probably talk about that for like 10, 15 minutes. Maybe less if there are no questions. We're going to call this Indie Era. Oh. All right, we're restarting. Again, if you have a question, am I not getting the questions? I think I'm getting the questions. Just in case, if no one is seeing that I'm answering, I am over on TikTok. Feel free. Let me just double check as we let TikTok warm back up. And I'm going to go over to Facebook and just make sure no one's leaving messages I'm not seeing, because Facebook has done that to me on occasion. So let's see. I will be with you all momentarily. If you have a question, concern, comment, want to talk about something, please mention it. I am checking right now. What's this? So, you guys, we're going to talk about the indie era being over. We're talking about how indie comic books are, the era of indie comic books has come and gone at this point. And I'll explain what I mean in just a second. Oh, something's wrong with my keyboard. One of the buttons is stuck. Why is it doing that? Did it stop? Hold on. Bear with me 1 second. Nope, still going. Hold on. Oh, I think I'm on a button on the screen and didn't even notice it. Whew. You guys have been hearing a annoying buzzing sound in the YouTube video. I don't know why you didn't tell me. I just saved Facebook. Are you Facebook? Yeah, you're Facebook. So, has there been like a dinging sound for some of you? I hope not. Anyway, we're still here. We're still live. It says there's a resume button. Not used to it. I'm still trying to find the new streaming thing. I did not like Zoom, to be honest. So, it was the wrong keyboard. I'm using a separate keyboard. So, that's why I was like, wait a minute, what keyboard is it? Where I have you guys, you're on the laptop. So, all right. So, we're going to talk about indie comics in just a second. Bear with me as we go to comic book advocates. And also, one of the things, just for those of you watching, just so you know, I am going to be getting rid of a lot of email accounts. I'm going to make my life and the things around it clutter-free. So I'm going to definitely be doing things to eliminate the amount of clutter in my life, which will include getting rid of some of the social medias. Some of the URLs aren't going to work anymore. This is just the reality of the situation. All right. So I'm just looking for comments here. Oh, some people have left comments. I hate this. George Alvarez is with us, says, no weird sound on Facebook. That says, for whatever it's worth, I still take the award I got from Moby Dick everywhere I go. And when asked, I have a favorite book of mine, I point to to that award every time and say that was culmination of a project that slowly built a hobby webcam and it became what it was in the community, and thanks to comic advocates. And look, the award show, it worked until it didn't. When the award show stopped working because everyone started giving out awards, it just lost its value, Matt. That's why I didn't do it. So you could say that, and at that time, understand this was done by many people. It wasn't one person's opinion. It wasn't just giving out awards. It was a competition, and you did great. You should wear the. I tell people all the time that I am honestly an award-winning writer, and I didn't give myself an award like some people have. All right, George says prioritize yourself and understand it's really small when I'm reading this. Prioritize you and yourself. Work for stories if you can continue to keep yourself a priority. I'll second the question. Will we see more Cat Dad? I don't know. I think there's a disconnect in all the comments because I'm clearly missing a comment. I don't know why. It's so weird. But yes, there will be more Cat Dad. Cat Dad is from done. There'll be more Barbara Unleashed coming from me. There will be more monsters coming from me. We're going to be kickstarting. My creating, I don't see stopping. I might go to more words for affordability because it's getting more expensive to live. Comic-Cons are unobtainable, and this is why the indie era is coming to an end, partly. We're going to jump into that in just a second, but I wanted to make sure I got all the comments from there. Please do TikTok, ask your questions about creating comics and all the things we're doing. And same thing with you guys at Comic Book Advocates. I now have you up and I'm actually going to share the screen so we can see it all together on YouTube. Here we go. So now I've got it, and we're going to continue to look at it. So very exciting, and I'm not going to take this away. All we're going to get rid of is the .com. TikTok is being rebranded Verbal Sins. So Verbal Sins is going to talk about desires, monsters, and more. For those of you who've lasted this long, it's probably sounding very similar. One of the first iterations of Comic Book Advocates was Written Sins. And I advocated, I did interviews, and it was in mine. As a matter of fact, the logo is actually on mine. This is me cosplaying a character I call WS. And after 7 years, and we used to do the 7 Deadly Sins, I figured it was time to go back home. So Written Sins is going to be what I'm going to be using, and it's going to be promoting desires, monsters, and more. And that pretty much opens up the field to anything I want. It'll help with my kink education. I am no longer going to separate myself from who I am. I'm going to own who I am till the day I die. And if people don't like it, I guess they can hit the block button or the unfollow button. I'm very okay with that. All right. So why do I think indie comics is done? Let's talk about that. So indie comics was this big blow up. Started about 10 years ago now, and it's been great for some many talented creators and open doors. Kickstarter is really the reason we had it, and self-publishing. The problem is now 10 years later, most of those books have zero value. And that's not a dig on them. There are image books because I'm looking to sell parts of my collection. I'm moving and I'm just tired of lugging them. Those books don't have any value. And when you're charging $10 to $15 for people, then they're calling it a collector's item, you're calling it an exclusive cover, you're calling it all this stuff, and it doesn't have value, it's going to make a bottom fall out. This is what happened to Marvel. This is what happened to DC. Indie creators have abused the market. We've all used alternate covers, but some of them have gone above and beyond. I've always been uncomfortable with alternate covers, and I hated calling them collector's items. It was one of those things I did. I like the exclusive cover, but it's a gamble. It's always been a gamble. This is either going to hit and be worth a lot of money, or it's just going to completely and totally miss. And understand, I have no problem with human sexuality. One of my books is about human sexuality and education about it. I don't have a problem with a woman. What I do have a problem with is the exploitation of women just to make money by men, or by any gender for that matter, any pronoun that you use doesn't stop you from being held accountable for, the things in life that you should be doing. And it's so funny because you live a long enough time, you see people that talk shit about you, want to use your resources when they need to make more money or something like that. Honestly, I have the Rick and Morty attitude where Rick says, people tried to kill me yesterday, tomorrow I'm going to get high with them. I think it's the best way to be. Just support people. Don't take things too seriously unless you have to. Unless someone's costing you money, costing you reputation, costing you time, don't hold them up to the point where they need to be in your thoughts. And there's such great creators out there. I am very proud of even being able to have this thing. I do think Facebook, one of the things I hate about Facebook now is that they allow people to post in your groups, and it almost makes it a part-time job to have to deal with someone posting inappropriate things in your group, from advertising to even porn, believe it or not. So I also think the fact that most people can no longer afford to go to Comic-Con as creators. Because remember, even charging $10 a book, you sell 30 books, you're making 300 bucks. It's not going to cover your table. I'm just being honest. I'm sorry, the honesty feels overwhelming, but the news for Comic Cons aren't great. So, as indie creators, how are we going to survive going forward? That's the bigger question. I see Marvel and DC within 3 years becoming one company at this point. Unless something drastically changes, I think that's the future for both companies becoming a monopoly. That will be both good and bad. It'll reinvigorate comics, but I also think they're going to go into a more digital format finally. It took a while to get books into being read, but then audiobooks helped that along. I think that what they'll do in the next iteration of these things is be able to have character voices assigned to different things that are read. You'll probably have a narrator voice. You'll probably have, a few women voices that will randomly be done and cast out. And that's the future of readers. And I'm sure Marvel and DC will have literal voice actors sort of doing what Siri does. They won't read a book. They'll read all these words and then have their voices used to read books moving forward. Samuel L. Jackson did that for Amazon, and the technology's gotten a lot better now. So expect those things in the future. The printed book, it's just not collectible. It is. You're going to have to accept, and this is, I think, the hardest thing when I talk to people, that when you publish a book, people are going to be less likely to buy it now when they start realizing the lack of value in the books in a secondhand way. So you're going to have people who are investing. You have to be moral with that. Stop trying to tell people this is a collector's item issue. We don't get to call what is a collector's item necessarily, because so many of you have done it, and it's no one's beaten down the door to collect it, and nothing has value. Trust me, I've looked at books. I've looked at my own books. I was actually surprised to see that one of my books sold for $325. I was like, they should have just come to me. They could have gotten it for $10 with plus shipping. So we have to be more mindful of that. There is definitely a change coming to the industry, and everyone's going to be in charge of their own products, their own contribution, their own everything. I have one guy who posts all the time, and despite warnings, keeps posting the same thing over and over again. I hope it's helping him. I generally try to let it go. Just hate when they double post. And it's nice to see the Comic Book Advocates on Facebook keeps going. It keeps getting interaction. People still sharing things. I try not to limit it. You have to really piss me off to limit it. But we've been talking about an hour now. Those are my things. I'm going to check back just to see if there are any other comments I'm missing, because for some reason Facebook won't let me see the comments, despite being live. There you go. If you guys have any questions about comic book creating or anything else like that, please do ask. Nope, we don't have anything more. So I'm going to sign off with the Facebook people, and I will talk to you all soon. All right, TikTok. We're going to sign off too. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and be part of what's coming. And some of this I'm going to figure out while I'm moving. So I look forward to it. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you all soon. Definitely check out those videos of the comics I have taken out of storage. So I think you'll enjoy them. And YouTube, the last one at the party. Stop sharing the screen. Right after this, in a few days, I'll tell you, or I might make it right now, actually, real quick. I'll make a video explaining what this channel will be in the future and the changes we'll make as we go. This is the last time I'll be signing off for Comic Book Advocates. I do so happily. I'm not happy that it's over, but happy of the journey that we went on. And the fact that I'm ending it now before it becomes something that's no longer a valuable thing. It is time for us to step away. And to be honest, I hope people have learned how to advocate for themselves, and something like this won't be needed, and we'll all support each other. But if there ever comes a day where I feel like I can make a big enough difference, maybe we'll dust off Comic Book tabsfits.com. But for now, stay tuned for something new and